I mean, I've seen numbers that show that almost half the families in Michigan have somebody in their immediate family who's lost their job. And the idea of saying that somehow that's all because people are lazy, I won't say the words I'd really like to say, but I'll just say that's a bunch of bunk. The idea that somehow Americans who've worked all their lives and are caught up in this are somehow just lazy. But this goes to a broader pattern, Madam President, that's extremely concerning to me. And it's really it's the difference in worldview, I think, and how we view what should happen and what's important in our country. And when we had a bill in front of us, the President just signed it today, to put back some common sense regulations on Wall Street so there's no more big bailouts and consumers can get good information to be able to protect themselves in their 401ks and their savings and to be able to address all the jobs, 8 million jobs lost since the financial crisis started over a year ago. When we have a bill on the floor that takes on the big banks, the big bonuses, the recklessness of some in Wall Street, colleagues on the other side of the aisle vote no. Almost every single one of them sided with the big banks and the big bonuses. We're going to have a big debate about whether or not to extend tax cuts for wealthiest Americans, whether or not we should give even bigger tax cuts to the top couple hundred families with huge, huge estates in this country, even more than President Bush did on tax cuts for the wealthy and wealthy estates that are literally only 200 or 300 families in the country. And our colleagues on the other side of the aisle will argue for that. They will argue that's the right thing to do. That's just a different view. It's a different view than we have about what's happening in this country and where the priorities ought to be. You know, middle-class families in my state are saying, what about us? What about us? You know, the big banks got the bailout. What about us? And that's why we have been focused on jobs and on innovation. And while we aren't out of the hole, we are nowhere near as out of the hole. We are at least digging our way out. 750,000 jobs a month being lost when President Obama took office. We changed the focus to working families, middle-class families. By the end of the year, that was zero. Now we're gaining 100 or 200,000 a month. We're at least gaining. I'm not happy at all about the unemployment levels in Michigan, but when President Obama took office, we were looking at 15.7%. Unbelievable. That's just the people being counted. Now that come down a little bit. Now it's 13.2. Now that's still way, way, way too high. But at least it's moving in the right direction. We had 8 years of it moving in the wrong direction. And we've turned the ship and it's beginning to turn around. But the problem we have is that while it's slow in terms of the job creation, too many families are caught in the middle on this, waiting for that next job, wanting that next job that's going to pay enough so they can care for their family. And they're caught in a situation that they never thought they would be in their life. And they're embarrassed and they're mortified and they're angry and they're looking at the United States Senate and going, what is going on here? You can't even get it together to do what every other president, Democrat and Republican, has done in the history of our country, to come together, to understand this is an emergency, 15 million people plus out of work is an emergency, and that we ought to be extending the small unemployment insurance benefits to families who are caught in this. That's what this is all about. We find ourselves in a situation where we are wasting time right now on the floor of the Senate that we could be using after voting to extend unemployment benefits to go on to small business, which is also absolutely critical for us. number one concern I hear from businesses is the inability to get a loan, to get the capital they need, to extend their line of credits to do business, or to be able to expand, to be able to get the loans they need. That's the bill that we got waiting in the wings. That's the one we're trying to get done. And instead of focusing on that, which is jobs and small business, which is the growth engine of the country, we wait. We watch the clock. 30 hours. For whatever reason, I don't know. But I think it is a shame. Madam President, I just want to close with reading a letter. I get thousands of emails, and I'm sure you do too, and I find it very, very heartbreaking. I want to just read a little bit here to put in the record from Philip from Belding, Michigan, who said, "I've just learned I've exhausted my unemployment benefits. I'm going to school under the worker retraining programs through Michigan Works. I have a mere 5 months left until I graduate. I'm raising my daughter on my own. My life has been a rough ride trying to do this on the limited funding already. Now I have to make a choice. This is an incredibly hard choice. I have to quit training to get a job or continue training and live with no income whatsoever. My decision must be made in the best interest of my child. I've worked tremendously hard to be at the top of my class in my training, and now I'm faced with the fact that it was all for nothing. The last year of hard work and study is lost. The grants I received from Michigan Works were used fruitlessly. I know you're fighting for me and all the others in my position, but I feel I need to let someone know what is happening." There are so many people who have sent letters and emails and who have called me. And, you know, they're just trying to play by the rules and care for their families and get another job or go back to school or do the things that we all want to do for our families and to be able to live a good life, be able to have that American dream as we define it. And it is extremely unfortunate that we find ourselves in a situation where we continue to see objections and blocking and efforts just to stop something as basic as temporary assistance for people who have lost their jobs. We will get this done. We will get it done. It will pass. The difference between what's happening here and what could have done if we've gotten it done yesterday, you know, it's going to be a few more days before somebody gets the help they need. I don't know how many people will lose their house because that few more days means they just couldn't make that payment in time and they end up on the street. Or how many meals or lack of meals, you know, how much hunger, how many times their kids go to bed at night hungry because we're wasting all this time on the Senate floor. But I can tell you that there are many of us, those of us on our side, who understand what this means for people. And we are deeply sorry that families are in this situation. And they need to know we're going to continue to fight. We're going to continue to be there. We're going to continue to do everything we can to support them and their families until everybody in this country who needs a job, wants a job, is able to work, has one, and can get themselves back on their feet and have the kind of life that they want for themselves and their families.